right? So today we're going deep on stroke.
Ooh, yeah.
But, and here's the thing,
Okay.
we're not just looking at what happens after.
Right.
We're going to explore how to possibly prevent it from happening
Okay.
using Ayurveda.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
Kind of bridging that gap between Western medicine and
Yeah.
what Ayurveda can teach us.
Totally. So before we get into all the preventative stuff,
Yeah.
I think we should probably be on the same page
Okay.
about what a stroke actually is.
Okay. So, stroke, it's an interruption of blood flow to the brain.
Yeah.
And that basically starves the brain cells of oxygen and nutrients.
That's not good.
No, leading
Yeah.
to some serious damage.
Yeah.
And we typically see 3 main types.
Okay.
Ischemic stroke caused by a blockage, hemorrhagic stroke caused by a bleed,
Okay.
and then TIA, also known as a mini stroke,
Yeah.
which is like a temporary glitch in the system.
Oh, okay. So like a plumbing problem, essentially,
Exactly.
in the brain. And modern medicine is really good at dealing with that after it happens.
Right.
But what I'm interested in is how Ayurveda
Yeah.
might approach it from the prevention side.
Exactly. And in Ayurveda, stroke is called Panchakarma.
Panchakarma.
Yes. And it's linked to an imbalance
Okay.
in the Vata dosha.
Okay. Now remind me, what's a dosha again?
Think of doshas as energies that govern bodily functions.
Okay.
And Vata, specifically,
Got
it controls movement, circulation, and the nervous system.
it.
Yeah.
So if Vata gets messed up, it's like throwing a wrench in the works.
Yes. And potentially increasing that risk of a stroke.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Ayurveda really focuses on recognizing those early signs
Yes, absolutely.
way before something major happens,
That's the key.
like a stroke.
Catching things early
Right.
and then taking action.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's less about waiting for the crisis
Right.
and more about maintaining balance in
Absolutely.
the first place.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 10 early warning signs
Yes.
from the material you sent.
Yes, we do.
Where should we start?
Well, let's group them by dosha.
Okay.
So, for example, sudden weakness or numbness,
Okay.
especially on one side of the body, can be a sign of Vata derangement.
Oh, interesting.
Vata governs movement.
Yeah.
So when it's out of balance,
Yeah.
we see disruptions in that motor
So
function.
like if all of a sudden my arm felt really heavy,
Exactly.
that could be a sign of Vata
It could be, yeah.
being out of whack.
Yeah. And another Vata-related one is difficulty speaking
Mhm.
or slurred speech.
So,
Again, Vata's control over that movement, communication
right.
within the nervous system.
Okay, so it's not just the physical movement,
Right.
but the movement of thoughts and words.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What about signs related to Pitta?
Okay, so Pitta is associated with heat and metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
When Pitta is aggravated,
Yeah.
we might see a severe throbbing headache. That heat manifesting in the head.
So a headache that feels like a volcano
Exactly.
erupting in my skull.
Yes. Could be Pitta.
It could be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how these all line up.
Yeah.
What about Kapha? What should we be looking for there?
So kapha is all about stability and structure.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's out of balance, things start to feel
Okay.
sluggish, stagnant.
Okay.
This can manifest as extreme fatigue,
Okay.
even confusion and memory loss, as if the brain is struggling to process information.
So if I'm feeling really foggy mentally and tired all the time,
Yeah, that could be a sign.
that could be Kapha.
The kapha's out of balance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the channels of the mind are getting clogged up.
Right.
Now remember, these are just a few examples.
Of course, yeah.
Always best to consult with a qualified practitioner
Right.
if you experience any of these symptoms.
Yeah.
But by understanding these signs through Ayurveda,
We can start to see how maintaining balance
right?
is key to preventing stroke.
Okay, so we've got Vata, movement, communication,
Yes.
Pitta, heat, metabolism,
Yep.
and then Kapha, stability and structure.
Yes.
And any imbalance can lead to problems.
Yeah, potentially contribute to that stroke risk.
Okay, and now there are some signs that you said
Right.
could be attributed to multiple doshas.
Yes. So, for instance, blurred or double vision
Okay,
could be linked to both Vata and Pitta.
okay, so that one's a bit more complex.
A little more complex, yeah.
What about the personality changes?
Yeah, personality changes.
Which dosha would that fall under?
That one can be tricky because they can stem from an imbalance in any of the 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Vata imbalance, for example, can lead to anxiety, mood swings, while excess Pitta
Yeah.
can cause irritability, and anger.
Okay.
And then kapha imbalance might manifest as withdrawal and depression.
So each one has its own kind of
Its own little
fingerprint.
Yeah, it's exactly.
That's really interesting.
It is. And it highlights how interconnected, our mind, body, and emotions really are.
Yeah.
Ayurveda recognizes this and offers that holistic approach to address these imbalances.
So it's not just treating the physical symptoms.
Yes.
But also looking at the emotional, the mental.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the whole person.
Yeah.
And addressing that root cause.
Yeah.
Rather than just masking the symptoms.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered the 10 warning signs.
We have.
We've talked about the 3 doshas.
Yes.
What I'm really curious about is how does Ayurveda actually prevent it
That's a great question.
from happening in the first place?
And that's where things get really exciting.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Ayurveda offers a wealth of knowledge and practical tools for restoring balance and promoting well-being.
Awesome. Let's get into it. Okay, so we've talked about the warning signs and the doshas. Now let's get to the good stuff.
Okay.
How does Ayurveda actually help prevent stroke?
It all comes down to keeping those doshas balanced.
Right, like we were saying.
Yeah.
Each dosha, when it's out of whack, can contribute to the risk in different ways. Like excess vata can lead to dryness and weakness in the blood vessels.
Yeah, making them more vulnerable to damage.
Right, and it can also make the circulation sluggish.
Yes, exactly.
Contributing to plaque buildup.
Which is a major risk factor.
Ischemic stroke.
Yes.
Okay, so vata is kind of a double whammy there.
Yeah, it can be.
What about pitta?
So think about what happens with too much heat. Things get inflamed.
Yeah.
Excess pitta can lead to inflammation in the blood vessels.
Okay.
Increasing the risk of damage and clotting.
So keeping pitta in check is like keeping the fire under control.
Exactly. Good analogy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then what about kapha? How does that play into it?
Kapha governs structure and fluidity.
Okay.
So when it's excessive, you get stagnation and congestion.
Oh, wait.
It's like a river that's clogged up with debris.
Oh, I see.
In the body, this can manifest as blockages in those blood vessels.
Increasing the risk of stroke.
Yes, both ischemic and hemorrhagic.
Wow. So each one has its own way of messing things up.
Right.
That's why it's so important to know your own body and any imbalances.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but let's talk about what we can do about it.
Yeah, great.
What can we do to balance these doshas?
So Ayurveda offers a whole toolbox of strategies.
Okay.
From diet and lifestyle all the way to specialized treatments.
All right, so let's start with diet.
Okay.
What should we eat or avoid to keep these doshas in check?
Ayurveda emphasizes a sattvic diet, which focuses on fresh, whole foods.
So this sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah, pretty much what you hear from most nutritionists too.
Right.
But, there are specific foods that we can favor or avoid depending on our dosha.
Okay, so for vata.
Yeah, so for vata, it's important to eat warm, grounding foods to counteract that dry, cold nature.
Some cooked veggies, things like that?
Exactly. Soups, stews, healthy oils.
Okay.
And you want to avoid raw foods, cold drinks, stimulants like caffeine.
Got it. So what about pitta?
For pitta, it's all about cooling things down.
Right, because it's so fiery.
Exactly. So sweet, juicy fruits.
Okay.
Like melons, berries, cooling vegetables like cucumbers and leafy greens, calming spices, fennel, coriander.
Got it.
You want to avoid spicy foods, alcohol, excessive salt.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Keep things cool and calm for pitta. And for kapha, we need to get things moving a bit more.
Yeah, you got it.
So what should we be eating for kapha?
For kapha, focus on light, dry, and stimulating foods.
Okay.
Pungent spices like ginger, black pepper, warming grains, quinoa, barley, legumes in moderation. And you want to avoid heavy, oily, and sweet foods.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've covered the diet part.
Right.
What about lifestyle changes?
So regularity is key, especially for vata.
Okay.
So a consistent sleep schedule.
Okay.
Waking up and going to bed at the same time each day.
So consistency for vata.
Yes.
What about pitta?
For pitta, avoiding overworking, burning the candle at both ends,
right.
Scheduling downtime, calming activities, nature walks, gentle yoga, stress management, meditation.
So basically just chilling out.
Yeah, exactly.
What about for kapha?
Kapha, staying active is crucial.
Okay.
Incorporate regular exercise.
Got it. So we've got consistent routines for vata.
Yeah.
Calming activities for Pitta.
Yes.
And movement for Kapha.
That's right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about some of those more specialized treatments you mentioned. Yeah. Can you tell me a bit more about Panchakarma?
Sure. So Panchakarma is like a deep cleanse for the body and mind.
Okay.
It uses a combination of massage, herbal therapies, and dietary adjustments to eliminate toxins and restore balance.
So kind of like hitting the reset button?
Yes, exactly.
That sounds intense.
It can be, yeah.
And Marma therapy, how does that one work?
So Marma points are specific energy junctions, like acupuncture points. Marma therapy involves stimulating these points to improve circulation, energy flow.
So getting things flowing again?
Yeah.
You mentioned a patient who benefited from this at an IVAC center.
Right. This was a 55-year-old patient who had experienced a TIA, a mini stroke. They wanted to prevent a more serious one in the future.
And Panchakarma and Marma therapy helped with it.
So they underwent a personalized Panchakarma program and received regular Marma therapy. They saw improvements in their overall health. Reduced stress levels, better sleep, more energy.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Not everyone can get to these specialized treatments.
Right.
Are there other things that we can do every day?
Absolutely. So Ayurveda really emphasizes herbs and spices. A lot of which have powerful medicinal properties. For example, Brahmi is a powerful herb that enhances cognitive function.
I've heard of that one. It's good for memory, right?
Exactly.
What other herbs?
Another one is Gugulu.
Gugulu?
Yeah, known for its cleansing and rejuvenating properties. Particularly for the circulatory system.
So Brahmi for the brain and Gugulu for the blood.
That's a good way to remember it.
Taking notes here.
Good.
What about stress management?
Yes. Stress.
Does that play a role?
Absolutely. Chronic stress can really wreak havoc on the body.
In what way?
Increasing inflammation, raising blood pressure, disrupting hormones.
And all of that can contribute to stroke risk.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not just about feeling calmer.
Right.
It's actually important for our health.
Exactly.
So what does Ayurveda recommend?
Well, things like meditation. Pranayama, breath work, yoga, spending time in nature.
So these are all things that are good for us anyway.
Exactly.
They just happen to also help with stroke prevention.
It's all connected.
Right. So it's not just about targeting one specific illness.
No.
It's about just living a healthy life.
You got it.
And Ayurveda can kind of guide us on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is really interesting.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
But before we wrap up, there's one more thing I want to touch on.
Right.
The mind-body connection.
Right.
We talked about how personality changes can be a warning sign.
Yes, and those changes can come from imbalances in any of the doshas.
Yeah, so it's not just about our physical health.
It's all connected.
It's about our mental and emotional states too.
Exactly. And modern research is showing that
the mind-body connection.
Yeah, our thoughts and emotions can really impact our physical health.
It's kind of a big deal.
It is.
Ayurveda's been saying that all along.
For centuries.
So if we're stressed or anxious or negative, it can mess with our doshas.
It can, yeah.
And increase the risk of stroke.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all super fascinating.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to have to pause here.
Okay.
We'll be back soon to explore this mind-body connection more.
Sounds good.
And talk about some practical tips for staying positive.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're back.
Back again.
And I'm still thinking about how our thoughts and feelings can actually increase our risk of stroke.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Right, like when you're having a super stressful day, what are you actually doing to your body?
Yeah, and Ayurveda has been saying this for a long time.
Yeah.
That the mind and body are connected.
So we know stress and negativity can mess with the doshas, but what can we do about it?
Well, a lot of the things we talked about already, like meditation, yoga, being in nature, they can all help our mental and emotional well-being too.
So it's like a bonus.
Yeah. 2 birds, 1 stone.
And there are other things we can try too.
Like gratitude journaling.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. It's a great way to shift your focus.
To what you're grateful for.
Exactly.
And that can actually make a difference.
It can, yeah. It's a simple thing, but it can really change your outlook.
And that can then affect our physical health.
It all comes back around.
It's like change your thoughts, change your health.
Exactly. It's about realizing how powerful our minds are and choosing to focus on the positive.
So it's not just about hoping for good health.
Right.
It's about actually creating it.
We're not just passengers.
We're in the driver's seat.
That's a good way to put it.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
We've learned so much about stroke.
Yeah.
And how Ayurveda can help prevent it.
I hope our listeners feel inspired to explore these ideas more.
Me too.
And find what works for them.
Before we go, any last words of wisdom?
The journey to well-being is never really over. It's about making choices every day that support your health.
And remembering that we have the power to shape our own health.
Well said.
Well, that's it for this deep dive into stroke prevention.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us, and may you live with balance and joy